In this video, I'm going to show you how to paint lavender fields with acrylic paint in this step-by-step painting tutorial for beginners. I want this tutorial to help reduce anxiety and to bring a bit of calmness into your day. I'm going to be posting a brand new painting tutorial every week, so make sure to like the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out. Leave a comment below and let me know what you would like the next tutorial to be. I also have a Patreon page where you can support the channel even further and get studio updates from me. We've got a lovely close-knit community growing there where I can chat to each of you, so I will link to my Patreon page in the description box. But for now, let's get into today's Lavender Fields painting acrylic tutorial. And don't forget, if you post online, make sure to tag me as I love seeing your creations. So let's get started for today's painting. So the colours that I'm going to be using today are blush pink, violet, mauve pale, ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, pearl lime green, light sap green, and of course white. And I'm going to be using a selection of brushes. I've got 3 flat brushes which I really like to build texture and add interesting brush strokes in, and then I've got a really small fine brush for adding bits of detail. But just feel free to use whatever you've got to hand. Today's video is going to be all based upon dealing with anxiety. I struggle myself with anxiety, and I know that many of you do as well. And I think it's the body's way of trying to tell us to take it slow, and today we're going to focus on a bit of healing with art. So I've got some lavender essential oil here that I'm just going to pop on, and I've also got a nice candle going to help the calm atmosphere. So I really encourage you to create a calm atmosphere around you. If you do feel like you can paint along, that would be wonderful. But also if you don't feel like you're able to, that's absolutely fine. Grab yourself a cozy drink and some snacks and just enjoy the painting coming together, and I hope that it really calms you and calms your anxiety. So for today's tutorial, I chose Lavender Fields because we all know that lavender has such amazing benefits for anxiety, depression, and just overall health really. So I thought it would make the perfect subject to paint. So taking a big brush, we're going to use this brush because it's going to cover a lot of area for the background layers. So first of all, I'm going to take some of this green here and I'm going to add in some of the violet. With a little bit of white. And I'm going to create kind of a loose, impressionistic, abstract background. So it's going to be like blurred version of the lavender fields behind. So we're going to try and mimic that by keeping it very loose with the brush strokes. And I really love purple and green together. I just think the colour that it makes is really beautiful and soft and rich, but it's not overpowering. It's nice and calming. And I know this looks a little grey at the moment, but this is just going to be the background for us to place the lavender flowers on top of. We don't want the background to be too vibrant, otherwise it will take the eye to the background rather than the beautiful lavender flowers in front. just going to add a little bit of pink into this mixture as well. For the top bit of our painting. I'm just going to go over with my brush whilst these layers are still wet. I'm just going to go up and down using my brush in a very haphazard way, because this is just going to create the background of the lavender, but it'd be nice to have the pattern that we'd like to try and replicate going through the background. Okay, I'm now going to wait for that to completely dry and then we'll go on with the next layer. And this is also a great time to replace any colours that you have used up. So next I'm going to take a little bit of a smaller brush. It's still quite big really, but what we're going to do now is add some of that beautiful lavender foliage in. So I'm just going to dampen my brush and take off the excess water. And I'm going to take some of the Sap Green here with a bit of white. And using a very similar brush stroke to what we just did, I'm going to start to build in some of these foreground layers, just bringing that vibrance back. So I'm just taking my brush up and down, Okay, nice. So taking some of the pink and a little bit of the green, just to take that saturation down, I'm gonna just pop in some areas of this pink to sort of build up those background layers. Just add some of that colour back in there. Next I'm going to take some of the Sap Green again. I'm going to add even more white so that it's a really nice bright colour. I'm going to add just a little bit of violet so we get a really nice light colour, but it's not overly green, it's not too powerful. And then using my brush, I'm just going to take this colour up again, just like we did before, to build in some of those stems. And you can see that the layers are really starting to build up now. Okay, next I really want to start building up those lavender flowers now, which is really exciting part. So I'm going to use a bit of a smaller brush here. This is a size 6, a flat one, and I'm going to use the end to sort of create the little lavender flowers. So I'm going to start with the colour Mauve. I'm going to add a little bit of white to that. And you can see from like the colours on my palette, I really want to have a mixture of the purples. So I want the violet, but then I also want the more blues and then the more pinks too. And that's going to really create a nice mixture of colours in there. So I'm going to, for my composition, I'm going to pick to create maybe the highest flower about here. So using the shape of my brush, I'm going to start to add in those little lavender petals. Do you call them petals? I'm not sure what you call them. Flowers. I suppose they are petals. And this would make such a nice gift for somebody you love, like when you finish the painting. I just think it's a really nice present because everybody loves lavender. And for it to be handmade as well, I think is really, really special. So perhaps your mother, mother-in-law, sisters, a friend. And I think that this is the most fun part, is creating the flowers. I love working with beautiful colours, and definitely I already feel much calmer. And I hope that you guys do as well. And it's totally up to you how detailed you want to get. You can keep it quite abstract, or you can really go in with the detail and spend a lot of time building up those layers. It's totally up to you. I'm going to go for somewhere sort of in between. I'm not going for a totally abstract look, but I'm also not going to go and spend hours putting all the details in, because otherwise this tutorial would be very, very long. And nobody wants a 10-hour tutorial, do they? So I'm going to go for somewhere in between. And as I say, it's totally up to you. if you want to spend more time adding in those little details, or even do it over the course of a few weeks or even months. I'm going to take some Sap Green now, and I'm going to use like quite a watered down version of it because this is going to be a bit more of a glaze. So I'm going to like add in little areas of this green, but I kind of want it to be a little bit translucent. Okay, so now we've done like the first layer of lavender. I'm going to wash my brush out really well and make sure it's clean. Next I'm going to go in with the violet. I'm going to take it straight from the tube so it's really dark, really intense. And I'm going to go over that and we're going to kind of bring some more details in. So we don't want to completely cover the colour that we've already put down, but this is more just sort of like adding another layer. And like with the green, I'm just going to add quite a bit of water into that and just sort of add in some like more abstract bits. In fact, I might even pop some in and then use my finger to like create a bit of a cloud. A purple cloud. Okay, and then rinse off your brush. So I did squeeze out some of this green because on the packet it looked a little bit different. So I don't know whether to put some in or not. I might put little bits of it in. I'm not totally sure if like this green really is very complementary. So I'll add in little bits, but I don't want to go too heavy with it, so. But it is nice to have different greens as well. Okay, I think I'm gonna like leave it there with that green. Okay, so next we want to create a really light green. So I'm going to take some of the Sap Green again, but this time we're going to add even more of the white, so it's really nice and light. And once again, I'm going to use that to add some of the greenery. And if you want some really fine lines, I'm going to use a little brush here, and I'm not going to do it all because that would take forever, but I'm just going to add in some more fine brush strokes. Okay, so let's really start to build up this lavender. I'm going to take my palette knife and just pop a little bit of pink on the end, and just using the surface of the canvas, I'm just going to take that colour across the canvas. working in a circular motion. And then I'm going to do the same with the mauve. I am going to add a little bit of white to that, I think, first. And I really want this to sort of blend the background in with the foreground, but also I feel like it's quite a good way to get the idea like their scent is like really going into the air. And I really like to see like all these colours laying on top of each other and layering like that. And next we're going to go in with some pink onto the lavender, so take your brush and get some pink on the end of it, and just like before, we don't want to like hide the whole lavender and redo it up. I just want to add in these little notches of pink just so that there's even more colours in it. And I'm going to do the same with this mauve here. It is kind of similar to the violet, but I suppose it is a little bit different. And it's kind of just like building, I suppose it's like building in real life, you know, you have to have the framework, you have to have the foundations. And it's like that with painting. I like to like build from the bottom up. So initially it doesn't look great, but you kind of really have to just stick with it and keep working until it comes back again. Also, I'm sorry if you can hear a dog barking. It's not my dog, it's the neighbour's. I'm just going to add in like almost like rogue little petals going into the background as well, just to create that sense of it kind of melding into the background and it not becoming like a separate entity, but just blending in really nicely. Okay, next we're going to go in with this cobalt. I think it's cobalt blue. Yeah, cobalt blue. I'm not going to do like too much in this, but just a little hint here and there I think would be nice, just to give it like an extra dimension. And then I'm going to do the same with the ultramarine blue. And I'm pretty excited about it really taking shape now. I feel like we're almost there. Now this is like a pearl green. I'm not really sure how I feel about this in our painting, so I'm going to try a few different test patches. I don't love it, so I'm just going to add in a few little hints here and there because it's got a pearl aspect to it. It might be really interesting when viewed from the side, but in general I don't want to add tons of this colour because it's already a light green and we've already got quite a lot there in our picture. Right, so we're going to add some really nice white highlights now. Well, not quite white, but I'm going to add some mauve with lots of white. We want lots of white because it's going to be highlights now. So it's like a lilac, I suppose. It's a very light lilac colour. And I'm going to go through and we're going to add some little highlights. And I've really got to try and not blob this on because we want these to be little highlights with detail on. And for the last part, I'm just going to add tiny little bits of white from the tube as little highlights, but it's really not going to be very many, only tiny bits. So there we go, I finished. So it's a beautiful, relaxing, atmospheric, impressionistic view of lavender fields. And I really hope that you guys found some calm in today's video, some relaxation, and that you have a calmer heart. I want to thank you all so much for your support. If you do want to support me further, I do have a Patreon page, but also just liking and subscribing to this video and to my channel really helps. So I just want to massively thank each and every one of you, and I hope you go on to have a beautiful day. Thanks guys, bye!